Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Critical Thinker with a quick update or follow-up to yesterday's video, Arizona, child trafficking, CEMEX, and the Clinton Global Initiative. After Snopes called allegations of child trafficking made by a veterans group a conspiracy theory, 160 children, some as young as 3, were rescued from traffickers in Georgia. North Fulton County, a massive sting operation carried out by the FBI in metro Atlanta captured dozens of child traffickers and rescued 160 children who had been forced into sex slavery by their captors. This news comes as Snopes and the other ostensible arbiters of truth distort information, claiming that similar trafficking is taking place in Arizona. Illustrating the massive scope of the sting, called Operation Safe Summer, it was a collaborative effort between the feds and 38 other law enforcement agencies from 6 metro counties. They are crimes of special concern to the FBI and to law enforcement generally, Special Agent in Charge Matt Alcoke told Channel 2. Because the victims are so vulnerable as children and because the offenders could be from just about any walk of life, from a gang member all the way up to someone who is highly successful and wealthy. In total, the sting ensnared 150 traffickers. Approximately 160 children, some as young as 3, were rescued. The sting was specifically timed to catch these predators before summer started, as the trade tends to prey on children when they are out of school. The case illustrates how sinister and outright dangerous it is for the supposed arbiters of truth like Snopes to immediately write off any allegations of child trafficking as conspiracy theory and fake news. A lot of people don't realize these things happen here, Howard Miller said. Indeed, they do not realize it, and the mainstream media often seems like they are in denial when it comes to the severity of child trafficking happening within the United States. Snopes attempted to debunk the story by claiming that the Free Thought Project said that the area was a child trafficking camp. However, we did not. We merely reported what the veterans group said, as these allegations most assuredly deserved scrutiny. In our report, we noted that it could also be a homeless camp. And my sources for this weren't actually the Free Thought Project, it was Whiskey Tango, Texas. He's done some heavy reporting on it as well. However, because Snopes falsely accused this outlet, Free Thought Project, of spreading fake news, the story has been scrubbed from Facebook, and the thousands of users who shared the story, which could have helped to expose child trafficking, received a notification like the one below. You can see it. Snopes, whether deliberately or not, is actively engaging in censorship of content that could actually help children by engaging others and fostering discussion. Instead of allowing the discussion to continue, Snopes deliberately shut down the conversation, ensuring that the very important topic of child trafficking is forced into the memory hole and never heard of again. As the above case illustrates, child trafficking is a horrifying reality. This is what I don't agree with. While Pizzagate scenarios may not be real, there are far worse incidents taking place across the country. While Pizzagate was never really fully investigated, and Pizzagate scenarios are all too real. It is no longer a secret that throughout all levels of Hollywood establishment there is rampant sexual abuse. This abuse is also rampant throughout government. It has become such a problem that millions of your tax dollars are funneled to cover it up. And I'll leave a link to this because there's a link to that. Sadly, it appears that the more monsters who get exposed for crimes against children, the more society, with the help of mainstream media, become complacent about this reality. On multiple occasions, the Free Thought Project has reported interviews of former child sex trafficking victims who've all noted that they had nowhere to go, as police and high-level politicians all took place in the abuse. Patterns. In case after case, the Free Thought Project reports on horrifying instances of child sex rings that were allowed to go on for decades because politicians, including heads of state, policemen, clergy, and others, were all in on the game. So everybody, we made a big movement about the Me Too movement believing in women. Well, how about we as a society start believing the children too? You know? So here's an update actually on, since this story originally published, people have contacted us to ask what these stories have in common. The commonality is merely questioning facts. That is all. To prove the point of how important it is to question facts, just after Snopes called us fake news for reporting on what these veterans were doing, they found compelling evidence of children being harmed. And I went over this yesterday. There's a video, a Facebook video was posted in which they find human remains. Turned out to be a 9-year-old child, apparently. So anyway, that's a quick follow-up from yesterday's story. As promised, I will continue to report on this as news unfolds. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.